Welcome to the Fantasy 15. I'm your host, Steve Hoikkala. It's week 4 in this fantasy football season, and hopefully everything's going good for everyone else this season. And we got different updates for you today. We have an overtime guest in Ryan Jones, who's from the Viking Central podcast. He's one of our contributors that we have over there. And we're here to preview all of week 4, answer any of your questions throughout this show. Please, if you're not already following us, make sure that you're following us on X, YouTube, Spotify, and then also TikTok. Now, we are powered by Viking Central, so this is streaming over the Viking Central social media as well, too. So just make sure that drop a comment wherever you're watching. We'll go ahead and get to your questions as soon as we can. And the very first thing that we're going to start off with is giving you your top 15 all in 15 minutes before we go in the overtime section. And then we'll break some other things down with our charts, get some other opinions to see where we agree on, where we disagree with Ryan Jones. We have some different fun games that we like to play, such as stock up, stock down, better pass, over, under. And then also, again, answering any of your questions, whether you have questions on who to sit or start this week, any waiver pickups, talking about different injuries, any trade suggestions that maybe you've got that you're deciding on, should I make the trade? Is it a good trade? And who to maybe buy while the stock is low, or who you should sell because right now the stock is high. So we can talk about all that stuff as well. But very first thing that we're going to get into is the 15. Start the clock. All right, taking a look at this week's week 4 schedule. We start off on Thursday with the Seattle Seahawks visiting the Arizona Cardinals. And in that game, we do have some injury concern with Connor. So the running back, Connor, had gotten hurt. And so you will see Trey Benson filling that role, for Connor in the backfield. So we do have some concerns as well with Marvin Harrison Jr. Is he a bust? I think it's too early to say that too. Again, chemistry earlier in the year. There are some other wide receivers too that are kind of slow going at this point, but he's had some problem with some drops there. Meanwhile, you have Sam Darnold on the other side with the Seahawks, seemingly having some really good chemistry right now with Jackson Smith and Najigba, and then also Cooper Kupp. But I'm picking the Seahawks in that one. When we get into Sunday's game early in the morning, we have the Minnesota Vikings versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is going to be the duel of the defenses. And if you follow us on Viking Central, you probably see an article that I have coming out on that game coming out this week. But that is definitely going to be a battle of the defenses. So look to see the Minnesota Vikings, the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's an early game that you got to catch at 8:30 in the morning if you're on Central Time. But again, with that game, I'm picking the Minnesota Vikings, riding their momentum and their defense and a little bit of a spark that Carson Wentz gave them. Then going on, I got Washington versus the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta was rough. They got beat 30-0 by the Carolina Panthers last week. I'm picking the Commanders in this game. Saints, Buffalo Bills, washout. Bills take that one. Browns and Detroit Lions. We'll see what the Browns defense can do. They've been stifling this year, but I am picking the Lions. Titans go to the Texans, pick the Texans. Panthers, New England Patriots. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots in that one. And the Chargers over the Giants. I have the Eagles taking on the Buccaneers. I have the Bucs taking their first loss with the Eagles getting that victory of two unbeaten teams. Colts and the Rams. I do have the Rams taking down the Colts for their first loss of the year. I have Jacksonville Jaguars beating the 49ers. I have the Ravens and the Chiefs. Big game there for both of these teams, but I do have the Ravens bouncing back and taking down the Chiefs, and the Chiefs fall to 1-4 in this game. Bears and the Raiders. I do have the Bears beating the Raiders in this game, and then I have the Packers as well beating the Cowboys. So NFC North teams getting some wins, and then rolling into Monday, we have two more games on there too that I just need to cover on that as well, and that's the Jets and the Dolphins. I do have the Dolphins beating the Jets, and I do have the Broncos beating the Bengals. All right. Getting back into our quarterback charts, number one, I do have Jalen Hurts as my top week 4 spotlight quarterback. So he didn't have a huge week last week. He only was 21 for 32 for 226 yards, but he did 3 touchdowns. So it wasn't a huge yardage, but it was a huge touchdown week for him. So he was able to find A.J. Brown finally, 3 touchdowns, and he had 9 rushing attempts. Not a whole lot of yards, 40 yards, but he still got a touchdown in there. So it's always amazing watching Jalen Hurts. If he can't get it done through the air, he's usually getting done with his legs. And this game, he got done with his arm. I do have Josh Allen. It could be a big game against the New Orleans Saints. Lamar Jackson, I think, again, he's always usually a stat machine. I have that in KC. That should be a firework game as well. Justin Herbert. And then also Caleb Williams had a great week last week. He's playing the Las Vegas Raiders. He's been hooking up a lot with Rome and Junze. And I'm looking for him to actually have a big week this week too. Matt Stafford has been on fire with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, so I have him having a big game as well. And then again, I talked about Sam Darnold. Baker Mayfield's been having a great year, but he did lose Mike Evans. So I'm expecting Mako Ibuka to have a big game. Now, Bo Nix has been struggling a little bit, but he is playing that Cincinnati defense that the Minnesota Vikings run roughshod over last week. So I do have him in my top 10 as well. I do have 15. Daniel Jones is on there. I know Danny Dimes has been having some really good games, but he is facing a tough defense with the Los Angeles Rams. So that's a tough matchup for him as well. And you see at 14, I do have Jared Goff in there. But again, I talked about it. A really tough defense in Cleveland. So every week he's been out there, or every week that Jared Goff in the Detroit Lions since week 1, these last 2 games, that offense has been hot, but they're running into what's been a brick wall in the Cleveland defense. So we'll see who wins out in that one. I do have an interesting question for our overtime guest, Ryan Jones, specifically on that game as well. I do think that the Miami Dolphins, they could have a decent game lining up against the Jets. Jets have been allowing quite a few points in a lot of their games this week, and it's kind of a do or die type week for the Miami Dolphins. So we'll see where that goes. As we get into our week 4 top 15 running back charts, finally making his first appearance is Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian McCaffrey last week, he didn't have the rushing yards or the touchdowns, but only 52 yards rushing. But look at this in the receiving game. 10 receptions for 88 yards. That receiving stat alone nets you a ton of points. So that's what he brings in the receiving game. Especially right now when San Fran is ailing as far as receivers being hurt, and you got George Kittle that's out yet on the IR. Christian McCaffrey's got big games lined up. He's going against Jacksonville Jaguars this week. I expect him to have a big game. Bijan Robinson going against Washington. Again, he's one of those 3 down backs that he gets those receiving yards. So whether he's having a big game in the rushing game, he usually always has some of those backfield dump off carries that he ends up getting. Dump off receptions that he ends up getting. J.K. Dobbins going against Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati's coming off a week where they gave up 116 yards to Jordan Mason, and that's a running game that wasn't really working the first 2 weeks. So is that a product of the Vikings offensive line, or is that just a very poor run defense that Cincinnati has? So J.K. Dobbins had a good week last week. I expect him to also have a good week this week. I think Derrick Henry bounces back. Same with Josh Jacobs against Dallas. Josh Jacobs faced the Cleveland Browns last week. Again, tough one. So rounding it out, I really think Cook for the Buffalo Bills at number 8 facing New Orleans could be sitting on a big game, and Trey Benson at number 11. Again, he doesn't have Connor to fight with anymore. He's got that starting position locked up. I do have Jonathan Taylor. I know he had 3 touchdowns last week, but he's going against that Rams defense that hasn't really been allowing a lot of rushing yards. So take a look at that. I do have Alvin Kamara breaking into the top 15. Yes, I realize that New Orleans offense isn't anything super special, but again, Alvin Kamara, he gets those receptions. And what's potentially going to happen is they're going to get into a track meet or playing catch up, garbage time, whatever you want to call it with Buffalo. Alvin Kamara, I think, gets a lot of carries in here. And then again, Ramondre Stevenson's been showing a lot, in knocking down some points as well, going against that Carolina defense. I think he has the potential, especially at home, maybe sitting on a big game. Just one thing to mention here at number 7 and 6, Saquon didn't have a good week last week, but again, he was going against a tough defense. I think he bounces back this week. And then Breece Hall facing Miami. Miami's been allowing a lot of yards to opposing running backs. Breece Hall could be sitting on a big game. Week 4, top 15 wide receiver chart, making another appearance as our spotlight wide receiver is, I have Malik Neighbors here, and I should have changed that. But this is Puka Nakua's stats. I forgot to change the name on there, but this is Puka Nakua's stats. He had 11 receptions for 112 yards. Immaculate. Puka Nakua he's always going to get those targets week in, week out. He's facing that Indianapolis defense. I get that. That could be a game where, again, it should be a competitive game because Indianapolis has been playing really well. But with Devontae Adams on the other side, it's not like you can double Puka Nakua because you have to worry about Devontae Adams over the top. So Puka's going to get his, and he just gets so many targets with, when he's racking up that many receptions alone. And if you're in a PPR league, half PPR even, 11 receptions. Wow. And that's not even counting the yards. And if he gets a touchdown, that's wild. Jackson Smith and Jigba is another one where he's been getting a ton of targets in Seattle from Sam Darnold. We saw Cortland Sutton last week break over 100, and he's facing the Cincinnati Bengals. So a lot can happen in that. We know that Bo Nix loves Cortland Sutton, so look for him to have a big game. Now, I do have Malik Neighbors here at number 4. We'll see what happens. I mean, they are going against the Chargers. I know it's Jackson Dart starting, but I think he's really going to lean on Malik Neighbors. No, I'm not saying he has a monster game, but it could be one of those games where he just has like a Puka Nakua type game where he's just getting targeted so many times where he's going to rack up at least modest, decent yards, but a lot of receptions. Rome Odunze has been having some great chemistry the last 2 weeks with Caleb Williams. I expect him to have a big game against Las Vegas. He's just been trending that way and been targeted a lot. Emeka Buga with, again, you got Mike Evans out, and we still have Chris Godwin out. So A.J. Brown, seemingly Jalen Hurts knows that he's on the team. He could be another big target again this week. Our top 15, we get into week 4. Trey McBride sits at the top. Again, Trey McBride, 5 receptions, 43 yards, still finds the end zone. Hunter Henry had a huge game last week, and he also had 2 touchdowns. Hunter Henry was just amazing. He had 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a great game. Brock Bowers versus Chicago. Mark Andrews had 2 touchdowns for the Ravens. So we know that we had a Mark Andrews sighting. Could it be another big game against Kansas City? This is kind of like one of those games that feels like Mark Andrews gets a touchdown somewhere in here. Travis Kelce in here, and man, have an error in there again. Something I need to fix there. But I do have Travis Kelce going against Baltimore. And then another big game that I think could happen is Dallas Goedert at 8 facing Tampa Bay. So I think it could be a Harold Fannin at number 9 big game facing Detroit because they might have to play a little catch up in that one. TJ Hawkinson against Pittsburgh. He had a touchdown last week. Seems to have a little bit of chemistry with tight ends. Carson Wentz does. He had a touchdown to Jordan Oliver and TJ Hawkinson for 2 of his touchdown passes last week against Cincinnati. And then also Cade Otton for Tampa Bay going against Philadelphia. Again, that could be one of those high scoring type games where you're going tit for tat, especially at the end of the game. And when you're missing Mike Evans, you don't have Chris Godwin, and you only have a Ibuka. This could be a Cade Otton type big game. Week 4 top 15 kicker charts. I do have Jake Bates at Cleveland. And again, Cleveland's got a tough defense. Now this works one of two ways. Now Detroit scores a lot of points and they score a lot of touchdowns against a Cleveland defense. Does that maybe mean more field goals? So a big field goal game for Jake Bates. That's kind of what I'm banking on. And then taking a look at some of these other ones that are on there too. Schrader going against the Rams. That could be a bigger game where you're having to settle for more field goals. And then also Will Reichert against Pittsburgh. That's a tough defense out there too, even though they've had some troubles. But that is still a tough defense where Will Reichert knocked a 62-yard field goal last week. And then Brandon Aubrey versus Green Bay. That could be a big game for him as a kicker as well. When we get into the week 4 top defensive chart, now this is because we haven't seen him, right? So it's a rookie quarterback. So you got Jackson Dart going against the Los Angeles Chargers. So I know they only allowed 20 points against Denver and they only had 2 sacks. So not like eye-popping defensive numbers, but they are going against a rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart this week. They're my number 1, but right after that, I do have the Broncos going against Cincinnati. 5 turnovers last week for the Vikings, 2 going for touchdowns. That definitely seems like a target on their back. So if you have the Broncos, they are a must start this week. Other big ones, Lions versus Cleveland. Cleveland just can't seem to get their offense going. Seahawks, again, James Conner's out. So Seahawks versus Arizona, they're having issues as far as Marvin Harrison Jr. That seems like one that I would want to start. Other ones of notice would be the Vikings at Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers, Vikings had his number when the Jets, when he was with the Jets and he came to town. He was spurned in the offseason. Is this a big game or is it one of them where just the Vikings got his number? Other ones, Bills versus New Orleans. Bills have a good defense going against, again, Spencer Rattler and New Orleans. That doesn't seem like a good matchup either. So that's our 15 minutes that we have. It's time to go into overtime. We're going to spend a little bit more time on these picks as well as I bring in our overtime guest, Ryan Jones. Like I said, Ryan Jones is also a contributor with Viking Central. And if you could, just everyone join me in welcoming our guest for today, Ryan Jones. Ryan, how are we doing?
Great, man. How are you?
Not too bad. I think your mic, we just need to turn it up just a little bit.
All right.
I think maybe it's going off of something else here. But as Ryan's checking that, he's our overtime guest, Ryan Jones. Like I said, he's a contributor with us at Viking Central. And go ahead and give that a test here, Ryan.
How's it look now?
There you go. Now we got it fixed. So Ryan, can you just please tell our audience that we have what kind of experience, what kind of maybe fantasy football leagues that you might be in, and how long you've been in fantasy football?
Well, I've been playing fantasy football since, I don't know, probably 2010, 2011-ish. I currently play in 3 leagues. I have a dynasty league. I have a keeper league, and then I have just our regular league that we've been a part of since same group of guys that we've been running, since 2011 or something like that. I want to say, well, I think we're on season 15 this year. So I don't know, do the math, I guess, 2010.
Now, that's out of those different leagues, you said you got a keeper, you got a standard, you got a dynasty league. Which one of those leagues have been your favorite to be in so far?
So we have a really cool group of guys that we've been running with for 15 years. And the way we determine draft order, you have to be in person. We do something crazy every year, whether it's a golf tournament or we've rented out football fields and we've done different events to determine draft order. We've done all kinds of things. Like when the league first started out, we would even just we'd even throw darts at a dartboard and just see where he'd land. Like we've had, I was commissioner of that league for several years. So yeah, we've had all kinds of fun stuff to determine league. And it's a group of guys I went to, high school with, and or been really close with for a long time. So it's hard to compete with that. That's probably my favorite league. It is just a standard league. We did a couple years back to get rid of kicker and add a flex. So that's a big change we made. Other than that, it's pretty standard.
For me, I really like dynasty leagues right now. This
Dynasty.
is I'm in year 2 of my first dynasty league I've ever been in. But I've really found this to be more enjoyable. The fact that you keep you kind of get that more of a feeling of like a GM, if you will,
Yeah.
doing the drafts, the rookie drafts, and bringing in your team, and then you have to think about different variables, especially such as which rookies. So you kind of have to pay attention to college football a little bit, and then the other aspect of it is when you're doing a dynasty league, you got to kind of do the outlook of people's careers, their age, how much tread's left on the tire. It's just it's a different flavor of fantasy football that if you're really a diehard, to definitely check out.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I think, yeah, I've had a lot of fun in the Dynasty League so far too. So I don't have anything bad to say. I've also am in first place this year, 3-0 and by 100 points. So I'm not complaining.
I guess I would get too ahead of yourself for just getting into week 4. But
hey, I mean, I got a 100-point lead and we're going into week 4. That's pretty
good.
good.
That's good. We are going to talk a little bit about week 4 injuries. Once to talk about CD Lamb, of course, went down with a high ankle sprain. We're looking at 3 to 4 weeks for him. We did lose James Conner of the Arizona Cardinals at running back. Again, Trey Benson is going to be his replacement. Going back to CD Lamb, you can look at Kevontae Turpin as a possible replacement for him, or Tolbert. Tolbert, I believe, is the next one up. Kevontae Turpin, again, could see some additional play there as well. Ricky Pearsall did have a sore knee, missed practice. It's precautionary, but we'll see. Just something to keep an eye on, though, if you own Ricky Pearsall. And then we'll see what happens. DeAndre Swift does have a hip injury, and he's questionable right now to play this week. And I did see that Tucker Kraft as well went back questionable this week. We'll see if that changes a little bit going into the week. But those are some of those injuries that are kind of hanging out there. Another one, too, if you're playing in deeper leagues and maybe you're starting Cam Ward, he does have an ankle calf issue. So he was limited in practice, but we'll see if they do any kind of change at quarterback.
Mike Evans is going to miss time.
Mike Evans, absolutely. Emeka Egbuka is absolutely going to get more targets because of that. So just something to keep an eye on. I know we had, we don't even need to mention all the quarterbacks that are down. But again, one thing to mention, it's not an injury report per se, but we did have Michael Penix that got replaced late in the Atlanta game, but Atlanta has said that he is absolutely starting.
Yeah,
I was, it was my post
Kirk was
that I
taking
had.
Strays.
Yeah, I had the post on the Viking Central page that I don't know why you would even make mention that Kirk lost his job last year, and basically, Mike hasn't done anything to lose his job. Like, man, Kirk,
He's coming off, first of all, off an Achilles injury. What did you guys do to? And then, he's hiding a shoulder injury, like half the season.
I mean, not to mention, for the most part, the situation. The situation being what it is, it's not like he's acted out.
And it's not in his nature to do that. But
yeah, absolutely, he's not demanding, a trade or anything like that. He's being the best soldier he can for the most part, with the situation that some players would not deal with and would probably try to work their way out of.
Yeah, I mean, he's the epitome of class. Like, I don't say what you want about the guy and the player he is. Like, that's fine. You can
Mhm.
criticize him all you want, but if you want to talk about a person who takes things gracefully and does things by the book and with class, there's no argument there. He's one of the best when it comes to that. But the way that he's been treated in Atlanta, yeah, I agree. I mean, totally. And I mean, did he deserve to lose his job last year? Yeah, he probably did, but sounds like he had a pretty bad injury anyway. So, but I mean, we keep dwelling on Kirk forever, but yeah, it's kind of messed up. I got a hot take that he'll be the Vikings next year, even in a backup capacity.
You're gonna make me spit out my drink. So with that, we're just gonna take a look at quarterbacks in the chart,
Sure.
being that we're talking quarterbacks right now. So I mean, again, this is my list, week 4.
Sure.
At least just taking a look at the top 15. Is there any of those that stick out to you or anything? Do you agree with at least the top 5?
Yeah, I mean, it's Jalen Hurts. I mean, Tampa plays them so tough every time they play. But I do think second half of the game last week they sort of started to develop a rhythm and find something, and they'll build on that. So
Momentum in
I
the
got no
passing
problem
game,
with him
right?
being I got no problem with him being in the top 5. Caleb going. I mean, I know it's the Raiders, but Max Crosby breathing down your throat, and it's just you're not playing Dallas's secondary. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't love Caleb this week personally. Other than that, I mean, no, I think it's a really good list.
What do you see? What,
I like Herbert versus the Giants a lot. I mean, Herbert's just looked like an MVP this year so far. I think Stafford has a big game against Indy. I
Mhm.
like Darnold against Arizona this week. Although, who?
I got Patty Mahomes at 9 versus Baltimore, and that's because he has to have a big game.
Yeah,
Two teams that somebody is
it's gonna
gonna
be
1-3.
yeah. Somebody's gonna be 1-3, which, if you're a gambler, is a great opportunity to take a future on one of those teams. Because it's going to be some pretty good odds. I mean, look, it's early in the season and 1-3 is scary. I don't know that it's time to hit the panic button
Sure.
if you're
Either of those
anyone.
teams.
Yeah, if you bet against Pat Mahomes at this point in your life, then I can't help you. Like, you should have learned your lesson by now. And then of course Baltimore. It's so weird. Baltimore kind of started slow last year, and I know last year they made a move. They kind of adjusted Kyle Hamilton's position a little bit, and their defense started to pick it up. I mean, their defense hasn't looked like they got some issues going on defense, man. So
Mhm.
I think that there's some stuff they need to work out there, but with the coaching they have and the players they have, I think they'll be all right overall as a team.
What about the running backs?
Let's look at some running backs. I got a couple guys too. If you, I mean, yeah, McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey has a big game. Oh, you like Robinson, Bijan versus Washington?
Bijan's just been a steady beast
Yeah,
every week this year. He's getting it in either the running game or the passing game all year.
I think Cook has a huge game. I like Cook versus Saints this week. I think they really commit to the ground game against New Orleans. And then a couple guys I like too. Chuba. I like Chuba Hubbard this week
Yeah,
against New England,
I
which
got
you
him at
have him
number 9.
9. Yep. I love Kyron Williams this week against Indiana. I really think I really think the Rams hand it to them. Not, I mean, I don't think they like a blow
I'm
up,
kind
but I
of there.
think they're gonna.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too. I mean, I'm not saying the Colts don't have a good team. I'm just saying
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Pumpkin's going to come out per se,
Yeah.
but
No, I think
I
they're
just think the
solid.
Rams are a really good team, and that defense is really good too. And have the Colts played a Rams caliber team yet? I would say no.
No, and I mean the Rams dominated the Eagles through a whole half and
Mm-hmm.
part of
And
the
should have won
third
that game.
quarter. Yeah, I mean, really, they let Jalen Hurts air it out, and they came back, and if it wasn't for a blocked field goal, they probably would have won that game. I really like this week Cam Scattaboo. I don't know if it's
I
just
do
because I
too.
love the way he runs, but against the Chargers, which is a tough defense, but a rookie quarterback, I think they're going to be ready to go. There's been a lot of news about the team, and I think they're going to rally around the rookie and really develop a run game for him.
So I talked about this early in the year, where my prediction early in the season was that Scatabo ends up being the RB1 with the Giants and
Yeah.
taking that job from Tyrone Tracy. So
Mm-hmm.
that's, I mean, I'm a Scatabo fan as far as fantasy goes, and just in general, I like the way that he kind of runs.
Mike
Yeah.
Allstott.
Well, gosh, yeah. I mean, we could go there, but I mean, he doesn't have like that kind of build, but
No.
he's not afraid to take on. He likes to hit.
Oh, he loves the contact. There's no question about it. He's not trying to shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta's one of the league leaders in yards allowed on the ground. So I think Bill over in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
McCorsky, whatever his last name is. But
Yeah.
I think he'll have a big game, the rookie. And then yeah, I mean, I like both running backs in the Chiefs Baltimore game. I think a lot of's been made about Derrick Henry and his fumbling problems, and he's going to have a point to prove. But I also think Kansas City's really going to use the run to set up Patrick Mahomes, and Pacheco's going to try to drive it down. And we saw how effective the run game can be against Detroit just this past game. So or against Baltimore with Detroit this past week. So.
Now I'll ask you this question, and
Yeah.
Again, Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns, 102 yards. He had a great game.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying don't start him? Absolutely not. You got to start Jonathan Taylor. I just think against that Rams defense, you can't expect a Jonathan Taylor-esque type game this week.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you look, they were able to really contain Saquon, and if you can contain
48
Saquon and
48
that
yards.
then yeah, I think absolutely because of what he's going to bring to the table, especially around the goal line.
Right.
And his touchdown ability, you have to start him, no question. But I mean, if you get 14, 15 points out of him, I think that's a win.
All right. Hey, let's move on to the wide receivers. Again, Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith and Najigba, those guys are getting so many receptions. They are reception PPR machines. They're printing money as far as points go.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason. I mean, Ohio State's producing some ballers right now. That's for sure. Jason and Ibuka, absolutely.
Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas Jr. was LSU, but baller, but also ball.
My bad. Thank you.
He also hasn't started the season real well. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Why did I think Brian Thomas? Yeah.
But Marvin Harrison had some drop issues. But I mean, I think I like Marvin Harrison this week because of that. Sure. Also, I think.
But yeah,
I think he has a good week.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, he needs to. He needs to. That offense needs him. They're kind of sputtering with just Trey McBride, and then you lose Connors. I mean, that's tough. And I know that you had mentioned Odunze, but what about Cortland Sutton versus Cincinnati?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like that matchup?
I love that matchup. I mean, we saw firsthand Cincinnati's secondary, and I mean, they're just weak on defense. I mean, I like Cortland Sutton. I know Jaden Reed's out for the Packers this week, but I think Romeo Doubs and Matthew Golden are poised to have a big week. I mean, that they're just awful. I mean, the Cowboys are so bad in the secondary that I think no matter who's playing receivers is going to have a big week. So
other ones that are
Packers guys.
Yeah, Ted McMillan makes my top 10. Ones that might surprise you are Olave. Christian
Gonzalez might be back, and that kind of worries me when it comes to New England. If Gonzalez is back. I don't love Tet as much,
Sure.
but New England's been
But
really
is he
bad
100%?
against.
I suppose they probably don't bring him back
Yeah.
unless he's 100%. But again, he has been playing, might be a little rusty.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, if he's not back, I love Tet this week.
Sure. What about Olave? So surprises might be Olave being on this list. I just think, again, garbage time. They're going to have to target Olave. So I just think because they're going to have to throw in this game at some point because I feel like they're going to be behind. Olave, Kamara, possibly sitting on some big games, whether it be garbage time or whatever, trying to get back into it.
Yeah, I like Olave, another Ohio State guy. He
right.
hit them against Buffalo. Buffalo is they're not great against the pass either. So yeah, I think Chris Olave probably have it. And like you said, I think they're going to be playing catch up too. So I could see him having a great game.
Mm-hmm.
I like where you have St. Brown. I think it's going to be a tough matchup.
It is tough corners, but I mean they always find a way to get to St. Brown.
Oh, they're so good. I mean, Cleveland's defense, if they had any resemblance of an offense, they'd be a top 10 team in the NFL, but they can't move the ball to save their life. There's a couple other guys that I think bears mentioning.
Yeah.
We mentioned the Packers guys. I like Ricky Pearsall also against the Jaguars. I think that's a good matchup for them, especially,
if he's healthy.
And Brock Purdy coming back. If he's healthy, playing. I think I like DJ Moore this week also.
Okay. Yeah.
So Pickens, what do you call it? Odunze versus Las Vegas, but I also think DJ Moore is poised to have a big breakout game because we see how emotional he can be when he's not getting the ball. I think they're going to make it a point to get him the ball. You got to keep your wide receivers happy. And then I know you're probably not trying to be a homer, but I really do like Justin Jefferson this week, even against a Jalen Ramsey in a Pittsburgh secondary. I think with Jordan Addison back, Kevin O'Connell really can get into his bag and really open up the field a lot more for Justin Jefferson. And I look for him to probably have his best game of the season so far.
So I don't have him on here because I think it's going to be more of a TJ type game. And I actually think Addison and Naylor possibly have big games against the Steelers and not Jefferson. So that's just where I sit on this one. Now, I hope Jefferson has a big game. But of course, with so you have a big play Slay that's there. And you have Jalen Ramsey. So, you can move Jefferson around to try to get the matchup that you want, but they do have a good defense. And they do have a couple of good corners in there. So no I'm not saying he can't beat those guys because he can and he has. It's just, again, I think he's going to attract a lot of attention, which opens up some different things.
Yeah. I mean, every time you play the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson needs to attract a lot of attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
No question. But just O'Connell's ability to move him around and use motion effectively, and then bringing in Jordan Addison aside, they cannot not. I don't care if it's Jalen Ramsey or Darius Slade. Neither one of them keep up with Jordan Addison. So you're going to have help on one or the other. And I think it's going to open up the field for probably both of them. I could see Jordan Addison having a great game also. So, but yeah.
We took a look at the top 15 tight ends. Is there anybody that I'm missing maybe on this list? I thought about Njoku could be on here too.
They're being used in Fannin.
They have
a lot. Yeah. I don't really love the Browns tight ends as much this week. So I think Fannin at 9 is perfect. Detroit doesn't allow a ton of points to fantasy tight ends. Like Trey McBride, number 1 is a great choice because I think Seattle is allowing the most points, if I'm not mistaken, or top 5 at least, to tight ends, and Trey McBride is just that dude. You got Travis Kelce at 5 and 6. You really like him.
Right.
Tucker Kraft versus Dallas.
I
I
just
think,
think he's been having some injury stuff, that he
yeah,
had in that practice, and you didn't see him much featured in that last game. I just don't know if that nagging injury. I
yeah.
just don't have enough confidence to move him into the top 10.
I think I think the Packers are allowing some good yardage to tight ends, so Ferguson could be a good play this week.
Mm-hmm. He's at
Um,
number 7.
Number 7, yeah, I like him there. And then I like Noah Fant this week actually,
Okay.
which
Yeah,
is kind of if you're in a deep league and you need a tight end to start and he's out there, I think Noah Fant might be a good option for you this week. Cincinnati, they're not really thrown to Gasecki so much. I don't know.
sure.
So
I
I
mean,
kind of like
it could be
Noah
one of those
Fant.
games. I think just a sneaky one. I like Kate on this week. I just really like
Yeah,
Kate on. I think Kate on is going to get a lot more targets than he typically does, and I think he could potentially be sitting on a big game.
yeah.
I know I have him on 14 because I don't want to tell you that Kate On's going to hit a home run this week, but he is my sneaky tight end sleeper this week.
I like it. I like Johnson too, Juwan Johnson. In one of my leagues, I think in my PPR league,
Hmm.
Juwan Johnson's the number 2 tight end in fantasy right now. Spencer Rattler loves him. He gets
Hmm.
like 9 targets a game. So um, I think if he's on your, I will say this: if he's still a free agent in your league, I mean that's free money right there. Go get him.
Absolutely. Uh, Moving to kickers, you might not have any great kicker takes, but it's kind of hard to with kickers. It's they kind of do their thing, and
Yeah,
kind of is what it is on that. But
kind of shot in the dark. I think you got Brandon Aubrey too low.
Carter
Number
and,
10.
and Dookie Pickles, don't worry. We're going to get to your comments here as soon as we get through these charts
Dookie
because they're
Pickle.
going to go right into some of the things that we have. So don't worry. We're going to get to your comments and questions here in just a little bit. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
No, I mean, Brandon Aubrey, I think, is the best kicker in football right now. I think he has the best leg for sure. I mean, uh, so I don't know, but you get a chance. Like if they cross midfield, they could kick a field goal. So
Hmm.
you get a chance, especially. I mean, most leagues do this. The longer the kick, the more the points. So you get a chance at some big points with Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah, just they got to get that offense moving. CD Lamb's out. That
Yeah,
hurts them. So we'll see. I really think big ones are the offenses that are moving, that are playing especially tougher defenses this week. I like Jake Bates just because I think Cleveland has the ability to possibly prevent some end zone attempts which end up in more Jake Bates field goals.
yeah,
I like the opportunities that Jake Elliott will have with Tampa Bay.
yeah,
Same with Chase McLaughlin. I like Schrader with the Rams. Again, facing a tough defense, that offense can move the ball, but again, tough defenses can cause some things. Um, again, Harrison Butker is going to have to kick some field goals. I think Will Reichard showed, he's been perfect this year. Maybe don't hold me towards a jinx if that does happen, but he's been great this year. I hope the hair keeps
yeah.
growing.
He'll
Um,
show Europe how we kick the ball in America.
yeah, and you know, I still kept him at number 14, even though Parker Romo's got a leg. But again, you're the victim of an offense that maybe, you know, got shut out last week against Carolina.
Hmm.
So he has a leg, but it's not so much always about the kicker. It's about how many opportunities you get sometimes.
Yep, yep, yep.
Moving on to the
No,
defense, unless you have something else you want to add on that one.
no.
Okay, moving on to the defense. Again, um, who's the better defense? Probably the Broncos against Cincinnati. Um, but if the Chargers are hanging out there, now I'm telling you, if I have the option between the Broncos and the Chargers, I'm probably going to take the Broncos. They're my sure bet defense.
Yeah.
Um, But
it's
again,
just you still got. I mean, I know it's Jake Browning and a terrible offensive line, but
yep,
you still have Jamar Chase and T Higgins. Like,
absolutely.
they can correct a lot of stuff.
So Jake Browning has thrown 5 picks over the last 2 weeks. That is something to keep an eye on, and having in issues that they had last week with fumbles. That's just cause a concern.
Never should have cut him.
And the Broncos are, yeah, right. Never should have got them, right? But Broncos have a great defense. But the Chargers facing a rookie quarterback in his very first start ever. That Chargers defense, to me, in an offense that's already struggling with a veteran quarterback. Again, we'll see what happens. But to me, I would start the Chargers if I have them.
Yeah.
Other ones that I have just to point out, again, the Cleveland the Cleveland offense has been kind of horrid. I like the Lions defense in that one as well. Anyone that I'm missing, or maybe I have too high or too low?
I mean, I know they're playing the Lions, so it's tough to put Cleveland on there.
And that's
their
the only
defense
reason
is
I don't.
that good. I don't know. Just the amount of sacks they can get and wreak havoc, and I don't know. But they're playing the Lions, so it's tough.
Like the best offensive team versus the best defensive team in that game.
Something's got to give. I really like the Vikings this week, not to be a homer. The Vikings are the number 1 team versus the pass in the NFL right now. And Pittsburgh doesn't have much of a running game. So I think they're going to have to throw the ball. And I just think we saw what Brian Flores can do to Aaron Rodgers last year with the Jets. So I think, it's going to be a long day for him. Especially Brian Flores early in the season. It's like almost impossible. You don't know what he's coming on. The guy's like a chemist, just mixing up crazy formulas in there.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and get into some other questions that I have for you and some comments that we have from some of our followers out there. But when we look into the waiver wire, one thing I want to touch on too is, if you didn't already add them, or for some reason that they're out there, some players to talk about. Trey Tucker with the Raiders. He had 145 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's just something to keep an eye on, on whether or not, that was a, one time, his famous 15 minutes, if you will, 15 minutes of fame. Trey Tucker, something to keep an eye on, maybe worth at least an ad to see what happens. Tyquan Thornton is hanging out there. He had 5 catches for 71 yards and 1 touchdown. And for Tyquan, now Xavier Worthy may be back this week, and in a couple games you're going to have Rashee Rice, so you could pick him up. But again, how much of a bang of a buck, is that? If for some reason you're in a terrible league and for some reason Trey Benson is out there, he should be gone already if he wasn't already. But Jalen Tolbert, like I said, he could be out there yet. I know he's hanging out there in one of my leagues that I'm in there. But again, CD Lamb's out for 3 to 4 weeks. He's not going to be the number 1 with George Pickens there, but he could get some number 2. And depending on what situation you're in with the wide receivers, that could be an option. Sterling Shepard with Tampa Bay will get more looks as well now with Mike Evans out, and you still have Godwin that's out too. So Sterling Shepard could be a pickup for a couple of weeks as well, as another option. Anyone else that you see out there that could be hanging out there on the waiver wire that could be a pickup, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think just for this week, I don't know that he'll be a forever guy you keep on your roster, but I think for this week, if you're in a real deep league, 12, even 14 person league, and you need a guy that you can plug in because of injury to your flex position, then I think Dontavian Wicks is worth taking a shot on, just because, again, they're playing the worst secondary in the NFL in the Cowboys. So I think, Dontavian Wicks with the Packers might be worth a pickup and thrown into a flex spot if you need a guy. Other than that, I don't know. Tolbert, I like what you said there. I think maybe Calvin Austin has been getting some decent targets with Pittsburgh. So
Now, he had the dud week last week, so
yeah,
he could have got redropped, so he could be another pickup again.
right. But other than that, yeah, no, I running backs is weird this year because I don't like, usually there's a guy because of injuries that you need to target, and there really hasn't been that so much this year. I think Trey Benson was it, and then after that, it's kind of been meh.
So one of the comments that we have on here, Dookie Pickles asks, how long is University of Michigan legend JJ McCarthy out for? We'll talk about that. But at least right now, he was in the boot, and apparently he's not now. But again, basically what Kevin O'Connell has said in post-game conferences, basically what he said is he wants to make sure that he's not just physically ready, but also mentally ready. So it doesn't really sound like there's a rush to get him back, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the show, as I got a question prepared for Mr. Ryan Jones as well. Carter McElroy says he got offered Drake London for DeAndre Swift. Now, Swift does have an injury right now. It seems minor, but just something to keep an eye on. His running backs right now are Kyron Williams. He's got Jalen Warren, Trey Benson, and Swift. His wide receivers are Chase, Evans, Pittman, and Golden. Do I go and get London? Well, Carter, if you're able to, please reply again and let us know how many wide receivers you can start and how many running backs you can start if you want a more clear answer. And Ryan, I'm going to go ahead before I answer. I'll go ahead and give you first go at this.
I mean, I never liked the idea of giving up a bell cow running back for, even if it's a number one wide receiver on a team that's struggling throwing the football. So no, I would not. If it's a straight up offer, I would not go for that personally. I think DeAndre Swift is more valuable than Drake London is right now.
So that's kind of where I'm at as well. I do really like Drake London as a player, but Michael Penix just doesn't seem to be able to get him the ball. That offense is really sputtering. Doesn't really sound like they're interested in going back to Kirk Cousins right now. So Drake London right now is, so depending on what type of league you're in, if you are in a dynasty league, then I'm interested in the trade. If you're not in the dynasty league and you're just in a standard 1 year league, I'm staying with DeAndre Swift, especially looking at your running backs. The running backs that you have, you can never have too many running backs. Injuries, they get hurt. Typically in most leagues, you're able to start at least 2, maybe 3 in a flex. So with bye weeks coming up, I would keep your running back. So I don't know what you have on your bench. But I like having 4 good running backs, especially when I can start 3 of them that I can rotate in case there's an injury or during my bye weeks. As far as with your wide receivers that you have, yes, Evans is hurt right now. I feel like you probably have some more options that are out there, especially that you can go get on the waiver wire. I get that you're hurt right now, so I can see making that trade, but I think that there are just better trade options out there than Drake London. So if you were going to do a trade like that, yes, you could trade Swift, but Drake London's not my trade target.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, and I mean, also, I mean, I looked it up, so I don't think I know this off the top of my head, but right now London has 29 targets, but has only caught 16 balls. So. 26 targets, 16 balls. So that tells
how many
you
touchdowns?
Right, I mean, I don't think he scored a touchdown yet. No, 0 touchdown. But I mean, that tells you right there, he's not catching a significant portion of the targets that are getting thrown to him. And it's not like they're going to suddenly start giving him 25 targets a game. So just food for thought. Keep that in mind.
If any of you guys have any more comments, questions, start questions, go ahead, drop your comments on YouTube, X, Facebook. We'll go ahead and get to those throughout the show, as they come up. The next thing I want to go ahead and jump into with you is different trade targets. So being that we just kind of talked about that, who should be a trade target that you can buy low on now, but will help you in the playoffs? Is there anyone that you can think of that you would be trying to buy low on right now?
I mean, relatively low. You might be able to make a decent deal for Derrick Henry just because of the fumble problem. And the last 2 weeks, he hasn't been full on Derrick Henry. So,
and he's an older running back.
He is an older running back for sure. And so, but I mean, he's Derrick Henry. He's going to be fine the rest of the year. So I think like that might be worth a trade target. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is super, super low value right now. Whoever has him is probably super frustrated. So that might be a good option. You're one of them. That might be a good option as a trade target.
This guy.
Yeah. Those are two off the top of my head. What do you got?
So if I'm looking for different buy low trade targets that's not producing right now, Marvin Harrison Jr. could be one of those buy low trade targets right now where, again, right now it's just not happening. I think the talent's there. I think, hey, it's just a slow start. One that I would stay away from that's a buy low target is Terry McLaurin. Now,
interesting.
I do like Scary Terry. Don't get me wrong, but I am also a Scary Terry owner. So if you're in my fantasy football league, earmuffs, right? Just that Scary Terry just doesn't seem to have. He's one of the lowest rating yards in catch individuals. He's basically a boomer bust touchdown type player. And, so you basically have to count on those big games where he's going to be a boomer bust kind of guy. And with the slow start that he's had so far, you kind of see, I don't want to say that it's necessarily going to happen, but are we seeing Jaden Daniels kind of fall into the CJ Stroud year two?
Yeah, that's the sophomore slump is definitely something. Sophomore slump alert. He's on notice, but we're not quite there yet. I mean, he did miss last game. I think he's going to miss this week too.
So Terry McLaurin also came late to camp, so that could be reasons of the slow start as well. But I would just say he's one of those that I would caution people that are interested in him. To
in that same breath,
away from.
In that same breath, another guy that came late to camp or didn't really practice through camp, who's had kind of a slow start to his standards, is our one and only Justin Jefferson, who I think, with especially Jordan Addison back, the O-line performing better, I think might be a buy low target. I don't know, because it's hard to take the bias out of it, but I think a lot of people are still pretty high on Jettas, so you might not be able to get them for that low, but it's might be worth a shot.
No, absolutely. Tim White says, "What do we do with Travis Hunter?" I'm a Travis Hunter hater in the sense of him as a wide receiver. I am a Travis Hunter advocate for how good of a corner he can be and how good of a corner he already is. I just think with Travis Hunter, he's another player I just stay away from. Not just for this year. If you're in a dynasty, I stay away from him. It's unfortunate. If you can trade him and get as much as you possibly can for now, because I just think his stock, or you wait until he just has a boom game, then you need to sell him.
If you're in a dynasty league, and you drafted him thinking he's going to be something, you just hold on to him this year. Put him put him down on your bench. I mean, you're probably not going to get a whole lot from him this year. The Jaguars are developing a little bit of identity here, and that identity is the ground game, and it's working for their 2-1, and they've actually looked pretty solid as a team, solid defense. And so I think just for now, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think he's going to be a solid corner. It's just a matter of how much they're going to use him in the offense, but he's definitely worth just holding on to for now.
I think
in a dynasty league. If you're in any other league,
sure.
yeah, I mean, ship him off.
Maybe. I'm just saying, if he has a boom game and he's my guy, I'm going to try to sell him for as much as I can possibly get him, because I just think as the years go by, especially in the dynasty league, his value is going to decrease even more, because I believe the Jaguars will see that he is more valuable to them as a corner than he is as a wide receiver. And, I know that maybe some of that stuff worked when you're at Colorado, but now that you're facing top corners in the league as a wide receiver, and you're facing top wide receivers in the NFL, you can't, just your talent or your athleticism alone is not going to do it against a Mike Evans. It's not going to do it alone against a Jamar Chase to just, be able to play both sides of the ball. You just can't do it. So I just think that that's going to happen, and I applaud him for being able to do that in college. I just think at the NFL level, he's not going to be able to do that full time. Therefore, fantasy football owners, you're going to struggle to get big games out of him. So if he has a big game, I'm selling him. Thanks, Tim. Another quick question from King Lamio. Quick question, fellows. Would you trade Emeka Egbuka and Josh Jacobs for Jalen Warren, Zay Flowers, and Tyler Warren for PPR? Wow. I would say, if it's me, I don't like that trade. Emeka Egbuka is a budding star that's probably a future wide receiver one for that Tampa Bay team, and Josh Jacobs is still a top 10 running back for fantasy.
Yeah, that one's tough.
And Jalen Warren might not even be the starting running back come next year.
Well, is it a keeper league? If it's a keeper league, you don't want to trade Emeka, but if it's just a traditional league, man, I love what I've seen from Tyler Warren this year. I love Zay Flowers, and then Jalen Warren. I mean, he does get targets out of the backfield. That's quite a haul. I would consider it. That's for sure. I would look it over a lot and consider it. I think. Yeah. I don't think it's that.
Who's his tight end right now, and who's his wide receivers? I just don't. Emeka, you got Godwin out. You got,
but Mike Godwin's Evans coming back, and Evans will be coming back. So when they come back later, I mean, he's pretty much at the top value right now, especially.
He says it's a keeper league.
Nah. If it's a keeper league, you want to keep Emeka. Like, that's probably the guy, because you probably drafted him later. It's going to be a later round pick that you have to give up next year.
His tight end is Fannin Jr. right now.
I mean, Warren's definitely an upgrade, but yeah, I mean, Emeka's so valuable. Emeka's so valuable in a keeper league just because of when you drafted him. I'm guessing you drafted him in like the 9th, 10th round, maybe.
So going to look at this, based on who you have, and King, if you can reply, who do you have at wide receiver right now? I don't know if I'm like huge on Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is a nice wide receiver, but I don't see him as a wide receiver one in most sets, just because of the team he's on. He's got JSN neighbors, could you work a trade where it's maybe Josh Jacobs, and you can maybe get Tyler Warren that way, with Josh Jacobs for Tyler Warren, and maybe you can work something with Jalen Warren with a different piece.
My guess is the guy's probably targeting Amika more than Jacobs because he sees what he can
Right.
bring him in the next week or two with Evans out and Godwin's still out. But I mean the only reason I say keep or don't trade him is because you're in a keeper league, and that's the guy you got to keep.
Right. All right. Got another one from Colin Rutherford. Should I trade Brian Thomas Jr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. for Amon-Ra St. Brown? Whew.
Yes.
Man.
Do it.
I don't know what type of league it is. If it's and who you have other than that, Colin. Right now,
Amon-Ra.
right now, Amon-Ra St. Brown is he's a reception yards machine right now. That he's probably getting more yards than both of these players right now,
and touchdowns and
Colin,
points.
Yeah, Colin says he's in a half-point PPR league.
You got to think about it this way: if you give up your two stars, Brian Thomas Jr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. for Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're taking whoever you plug in place of whichever other one, plus Amon-Ra St. Brown, because you're still going to have a roster spot that you have to fill. It's going to be way more points, just because it could be a scrub even, but Amon-Ra St. Brown alone almost equates what both their point values are, and then whoever else you add on top of that, you're solid. So yes, I would do that trade in a heartbeat because Amon-Ra is a top 5, even maybe top 3 fantasy football wide receiver.
Yeah. That's a tough one. It could be one that you end up regretting down the line. But if you're in a standard league, I like the trade. If I'm in a 1-year standard league, if I'm in a dynasty league, I don't like that. But that's kind of where I'm at for it. If you're in a standard league, I would say you pull the trigger. Yeah. Colin says he has MPJ and Keenan Allen as his other wide receivers.
So it'd be Amon-Ra St. Brown and MPJ or Keenan Allen or I guess, or all of them.
Who's MPJ? I don't know why I'm spacing out on this right now.
I don't know. Yeah, Colin, who's MPJ? I can't think of it either.
I can't think of it at the top of my head, but
Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, well,
it's probably Michael Pittman Jr.
Oh yeah, Michael
Junior?
Pittman.
He's
it should be Michael Pittman. Yeah, I mean, I think you can roll with that.
I like Michael Pittman.
Yeah, I think you can roll with that, especially the way that Danny Dimes is playing. Yeah, he says it's Michael Pittman. That's what I would do.
And
if you're in a standard league, pull the trigger. If you're in a dynasty, I don't like that trade. That's how you get tinnitus. Says, should I trade Bucky for Rome Odunze? My wide receivers are Pickens, Keenan Allen, and BTJ. My running back one is Saquon, and Javonte Williams would replace Bucky.
I would start Bucky, Saquon, and Javonte, and I would not trade Bucky. Bucky's a beast, man. He's going to get so many touches all year long.
So it'd be a different conversation. So if you guys can, when you guys make these, send us these questions, please try to tell us what type of league you're in as well. That'll help us in a little bit. So Rome Odunze, I do, I do like him long term. I get that, but Bucky's got so much potential, and with your receivers that you have, I just don't know if Rome's had a good run there, but there's a lot of mouths to feed in Chicago. So to expect him to have that production every week, I get the hard. Desire. Yeah, absolutely. So I would say don't make that trade. I would keep Bucky.
Yeah. I mean, I get what he's trying to do because he's saying, like, my receivers aren't performing right now. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, like, just to trade a running back for a receiver, like, points wise, you're not really changing much. Well, you're probably getting worse, to be honest, because Bucky, over the course of the season, I think is going to have far more points than Romadunze will at the end
And
of
if
it.
Byron Thomas Jr. Ends up turning it up, again, you're going to look at this differently.
Right. And he very well could. I mean, he's capable.
Mm-hmm.
He seems a little like, I don't know. He's like alligator arm and stuff. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a mental thing or what, but I mean, hopefully he figures it out because he's definitely talented enough.
Yeah, he said he's an 8-man, so there should be a lot of people out there for you to pick up as well too.
I mean, you're stacked at running back. That's a good thing.
Right.
Toward the end of the season, running backs are even more valuable. You got to understand, like, people, like, the run game towards the end of the year, especially when the weather starts getting bad and outside stadiums, are even more valuable. So, like, if you have badass running backs, hold on to them.
Landy says, "Hey guys, start 4, 2 receivers and 2 flexes." So Hampton again. Now Najee Harris is out, so there's another injury there too. J.K. Dobbins, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Ricky Pearsall, Jacoby Myers, Emeka Ibuka, and Matthew Golden.
If Pearsall's out, that takes away one of them for you. I think.
I don't like Golden.
I know. You don't like Matthew Golden?
I don't like Matthew Golden.
It's Dallas. I don't know.
I get it, but just the production just hasn't been there right now.
I know, but look how amazing Chicago looked. Look how amazing.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams won as the Offensive Player of the Year,
but
because they played Dallas.
The Packers just seem to be the land of whoever they fancy that week.
Yeah.
1 week it's going to be Jaden Reed. The next week it's going to be Dontavian Wicks. The next one it's going to be Tucker Kraft. So Golden does not seem to be a reliable start to me.
I don't know, man. I kind of like him this week, though. I do. I just only because Reed's out. And so, I mean, the primary targets are going to be Dobbs and Golden.
So out of these,
those are going to be the wide receivers against a terrible Dallas secondary.
I do like Ibuka for one.
I do too. Yeah.
And then also Pearsall would be the other one that I would eye if he's healthy and starting for my receivers. If I had to go with the 2 flexes, I like Hampton this week, getting all the love. And then I do like J.K. Dobbins as well.
And Dobbins plays the Bengals, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love J.K. Dobbins this week. I think, man, J.K. Dobbins with so much potential coming in, and he just kept getting hurt. But, I mean, if J.K. Dobbins never gets hurt, Derrick Henry never becomes a Raven. But, so yeah, I mean, I love J.K. Dobbins and Pearsall. If he's healthy, I think you have to start him just because he's the only option for them.
Sure. Tinnitus says, out of Keenan, BTJ, and Pickens, which 2 should you start? For me, I think you got to go Pickens this week for sure. And just because BTJ hasn't been solid, you could go Keenan this week.
I mean, you got to roll with your guy. Like, you drafted BTJ so high. Like, he's not going to have bad games forever. I don't think.
I hear you. It's just Trevor Lawrence.
I like Pickens for sure. Keenan, you know what Keenan Allen is. Like, I don't know. I would take the swing. If you want to play it safe, take Keenan and Pickens. If you want the higher potential, go Pickens and BTJ.
Depending on your matchup,
If you're a gambler, like I'm a gambler, I go Pickens and BTJ because I think that gives you the chance at the most points.
Colin says MJ or LeBron. Just real quick, I'm an MJ guy. Next question.
It's not even close. It's MJ.
All right. Colin says, how do y'all feel about Drake May and Kenneth Walker for Jaden Daniels and Trey Benson? If you're in a 1-year league, that could maybe make sense. So here's the thing. Drake May, I think is going to be a stud. Kenneth Walker,
He's a stud.
he's a stud-ish for a 1-year league. I say that because he's got Charbonnet. That's he's gonna, once he's healthy, he's gonna be back vulturing touches, and at times Charbonnet has looked better than Kenneth Walker has even. And just my worry with Jaden is a sophomore slump. Is that a thing for him? And hopefully we don't see more Mariota, and Jaden Daniels would be back. But I think Trey Benson will probably have a decent year the rest of the way. The Cardinals like to lean on their running backs. I think he'll get almost as much value as Connors was getting as well. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I think I would stick with Drake May and Kenneth Walker at this point. If you're sitting in a standard league, I wouldn't make that trade.
Me too.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And if you're sitting in a dynasty or keeper league, yes, Connors he's getting older and stuff up there, but Trey Benson is a Band-Aid for this year. And there could be somebody that's, hanging out there that they end up bringing in if Trey's not performing. So, you have a sure thing with Drake May and Kenneth Walker.
Right.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to some other questions that I have for you here. Stock up. What players' stock went up that you saw after week 3?
Stock up players. Let's see. Jordan Mason for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he showed as a bell cow back what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. So if he's available, that would be a guy. I don't know that his stock went up any more than it already was, but JSN has shown that he is a top tier receiver in the NFL. Just week after week, he's catching intermediate and the deep ball. So stud. And then Trey Benson, obviously, I think that's a big stock up kind of guy. I don't know if I'm missing anything. I think we've already touched on it, but Juwan Johnson, he's just averaging so many targets a game. My stock on him is up quite a bit. And off the top of my head, that's all I can think of.
What about stock down? What players' stock went down after the performance in week 3?
Marvin Harrison Jr., for sure. I mean, the drops haven't just been bad. They've looked bad. Like, it has not looked good. Along staying with the juniors, Brian Thomas Jr., his stock's been going down all season, for sure.
What about Jordan Love?
Jordan Love, they played a really tough defense, but that was a terrible interception. Yeah, stock down. He's a Packer. Stock down.
But just for that week, do you think it was just the defense, or are we seeing some of that Jordan Love from last year?
I mean, look, they're playing the Packers this week, so I think after this week, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, he's back to MVP caliber." But I don't think Jordan Love has ever shown us anything that anything that would say that he's this special Aaron Rodgers type. Like, I think he's gonna be a good quarterback in the NFL, but I don't know that he's ever really going to be in your top 10. He's the Packers now have their Kirk Cousins.
So we're going to play a little game called Over Under.
All right.
Over Under, Derrick Henry will rush for 110 yards versus Cleveland. I apologize, not Cleveland. They're not playing Cleveland this week. Why am I struggling today with this? All right.
Playing the Chargers, right?
No,
the Chiefs. Sorry.
Chiefs. KC. Yeah. Let's rephrase that question and get it up there. I apologize. Derrick Henry will rush for 110 yards versus KC. Over under. Does he bounce back? We thought over under last week. We thought maybe that would happen, but does he do it this week?
I mean, 110.
Does he get it back?
I think he bounces back, but maybe not 110 yards.
Okay.
So I would,
So
in terms of betting, What juice do you get at 110? Because I'm guessing his over-under is probably like 87. So if we're betting, is the juice worth the squeeze? It probably is. If you can get, plus 310 money, then yeah, I would take the over.
Okay, over under Jordan Mason rushes for 100 yards versus the Steelers.
Steelers have a really good rushing defense, but I think he gets 20 carries, so I'm going to say over.
Okay, over under Daniel Jones gets his 4th straight win to start the season over the Los Angeles Rams. Over
I'm going to go under. I think we touched on this already, but I'm going under. I like the Rams too much.
Jackson Dart throws for 1.5 touchdowns. Does he throw for 2 or more? Throws, not rushes.
I'm going under. I think he might run one in too, but I'm going to go under 1.5.
Okay. Better pass. JJ McCarthy starts again for the Vikings, at least by the Eagles game, which is week 7 after the Vikings come out of their bye week. Is it still Carson Wentz, or do they go back to JJ McCarthy by then, or at least by the Eagles game?
Well, I think Carson Wentz is going to look like dog shit against Cleveland, and everyone's going to want him back, and I think he starts week 7 versus the Eagles.
Okay, better pass. The Detroit Lions will score 24 points or more versus the Cleveland Browns. Again, that Cleveland Browns defense has been absolutely stingy. So Detroit having one of the best offenses in the league against the best defenses, to this point, showing that they've been one of the best defenses, if not the best defense. Do they put up 24 or more?
So I will bet that only because I can see Aiden Hutchinson strip sack ball deep in the red zone, and the Lions able to punch a touchdown in from there. So I think, yes, they'll score 24 points. I think a lot of that is going to be because of the Lions defense. I do think Cleveland is going to give the Lions all they can handle on offense.
I did have another question that squeaked in here as well. Oh, I think it was just a follow-up question. Yep, it was just a follow-up question from one individual. So with that, that's what we have for week 4. That's what I have for my different follow-up questions for you, Ryan. With no other questions that I see out there, I think that's, we've went pretty long. I appreciate you taking the time and being on the show. So I do want to say thank you, Ryan Jones, for joining us on the Fantasy 15. I do want to go ahead and thank Viking Central. Again, we are powered by Viking Central, so we are also streaming over their network. If you're not already following us, please make sure that you're following us at the Fantasy 15. So that's at Fantasy 15 FB on X. And again, you can follow us on and you can do that search on YouTube as well. After this episode, it will be uploaded shortly after to Spotify. And then please, we don't have any content out there yet, but we will start putting some stuff out there on TikTok. So please go out and follow us. Appreciate everything that you were able to provide today during the show, Ryan Jones, with your input. And again, thank you for all of the followers out there that are either watching, liking, commenting, and asking questions. And hopefully we're setting you up for success for your fantasy week for week 4. So please tune in next week for the Fantasy 15 for week 5. Again, we're your source for fantasy football. Thanks again for watching. Good luck this week. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.